editor of Travel and Tourism News Middle East, and I take great pride in welcoming you here today. Thank you so much for being here for the Cruise Awareness Day. Let me get this right. The Cruise Awareness Day, an important initiative conceived by GSA heads of leading cruise lines here in the UAE. You can see them on the stage here. The objective of this event is to deep dive, I couldn't resist that, deep dive into the cruising industry, to rebuild knowledge and confidence in cruising, to make useful contacts. So when you leave here today, you leave as cruise enthusiasts, but armed with knowledge, support, and overall positivity in cruising. I see some great travel advisors here. Thank you so much for coming. Travel counselors is here. Are you here, travel counselors? There's Always Travel. Al-Rustamani is here. Omer Travel is here, or not? Yes, they're here. Okay, great. Amex is here. Sira Group, Sharaf Travel, Horizon Tours, Musafir. Thank you so much, and many, many more. I do apologize if I haven't. Yeah, obviously I haven't because there's so many of you, but thank you. Thank you for being here. We kickstart this morning with an informative and hopefully myth-busting session with 6 experts here from the industry who have been instrumental in supporting and developing the outbound cruise industry here in the Middle East. Most of them don't need an introduction, and I think I'm already rude there because none of them need an introduction, would be the right thing to say. So our 6 panelists here, let's start with Mr. Ashok Kumar, Managing Director, Cruise Master, who represents Princess Cruises, Cunard, and P&O Cruises. Lakshmi, thank you. Lakshmi Durai, Chief Executive, Discover the World Middle East, representing Holland America Line, Seabourn, and Windstar Cruises. Michael English, Head of Business Development, Europe, Middle East, and Africa for Celebrity Cruises. Daniel Rosado, Director, GCC Iran for Spain Tourism, with glorious cruise ports in Barcelona, Valencia, Mallorca, Malaga, and many more. Karthik Radhakrishnan is here, Sales Manager, MSC Cruises, GCC, and Sri Lanka. Welcome. And last but not the least, we have Asif Hussain, Manager of Outbound Leisure, Altair Group, here to represent Disney Cruise Line. So, without further ado, Ashok, let's begin with you with a very simple question. How big is the cruise industry? And the questions are here, just in case you can't hear me.
Thank you very much, Rashmi, for the lovely introductions. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. How big is big? It's a very big question, I must, in itself. Looking at the audience here, there are people coming in from different segments of the travel industry. So, how big is big? Can be debated as well. But most of you guys are involved in selling the hotels, the airlines. So first of all, let's look at the biggest aircraft in the industry. It's what, A380 takes about, if it is a normal economy class configuration, about 800 passengers. But if you are looking at a 3-class configuration, about 500 odd passengers. Looking at another iconic hotel here in Dubai, you have Emirates Tower, which is about 400 rooms. So based on double occupancy or triple occupancy, can take up to 1,000 passengers. Now, when it comes to the cruise lines, if you can have a little, oh wow, there we are. See the comparison between the ships. Now, when I started my career in the cruise industry, which was good 28 years ago, the average size of the ship was about 70,000 tons. Now, giving all those numbers, it's maybe not making any impact on you guys, but I'm sure most of you have seen Titanic. Tell me who has not seen the Titanic. Okay, now Titanic was built way back in 1912 using something like 46,000 gross tonnage of steel, and it was said that this was the largest ship at that time. Uh, Switch over to around 1960s, the QE2, which is now docked at Port Rashid here, and who has been going around the world for nearly 35 years and now retired, of course. She was around 69,000 tons. And 1994, 95, average ship size was about 70,000 tons. Today, the largest cruise ship afloat is 228,000 tons, which is almost 3 times bigger and takes roughly 6,900 guests plus the crew of 2,300. Now, does that tell you how big the cruise business is? Uh, Still going back on the previous slide, all those ships are average 69,000 and the biggest is 208,000. When the cruise industry in Dubai started, and it started from Port Rashid, where the QE2 is docked at the moment, that was the only port, and then Dubai government seen the vision of how good the cruise business is, and they started developing a port, and was taking only one ship. Then they realized that one ship port is not enough, and then they built the new 2 terminals now, Sheikh Hamdan Terminal and Port Rashid Terminal number 3, which at a time can take 7 ships. And even if that is not enough, they have built a brand new cruise terminal in Marina. So progress made from 96, 97 to 2022, in just little over than 2 decades, you have 2 brand new cruise terminal in Dubai. And that's the size of the ship, the industry in Dubai. Now, what does the industry do with all those ships? There are organizations like on your air business, you have IATA. On the cruise line business, we have CLIA, which is Cruise Line International Association. And most of the cruise lines are member of CLIA, and those member cruise line together represent nearly 95% of the total capacity in the cruise business. Uh, there are 50 different plus cruise line all over the world, but not all of them are the IATA CLIA member. And all in all, 450,000, which is roughly 500,000 berths on any on any day available in the cruise business. So what do the cruise lines do with all those ships? Apart from sailing from Dubai, fantastic. The cruise lines which are operating all over the world, and the different region which we are looking at is the Mediterranean, the Greek Isles, Alaska, Northern Europe. These are easy to reach from here, as well as the access, the airlift is pretty good. And other than that, we have a saying, wherever there's a water, we have a cruise ship for you. And that includes not necessarily on the oceans, but also on the rivers, and also if you look at south or north, or they call it Antarctic or Antarctica, we have the cruise ships there for you. That's all about, I'm sure it gives you a fairer idea of how big the cruise industry is.
It is a billion-dollar industry, we know that. But the last 2 years, there have been some stormy weather, and things have not been the same for any of us. But the cruise industry is now coming back in a big way. And there's lots to look forward to in the future. So Lakshmi, could I ask you what the future looks like and tell us a bit about the return to cruising?
Yeah, return to cruising is happened very successfully, I would say. Like any other industry, in March 2020, the cruises have to be, like all the cruises were stopped sailing. Of course, the CLIA and all the cruise line veterans across multiple cruise lines, everybody worked very hard and worked very closely with the government of different destinations, because cruise is not just one destination. So they had to really work across the government across the world and to get back a smooth resumption of cruising. The resumption of cruising doesn't mean just putting like thousands and thousands of people back into work, because there are a lot of ancillary business which is dependent on cruise business, starting from the small souvenir shop in the port to the supplies, the food supplies, fuel supplies, and then the destination, tourist destinations, attractions. So there are a lot of businesses connected to that. So a resumption of cruise means a lot to these businesses as well. So I would say this is really, cruising has become like a model for a responsible travel. So which it is very important for cruise industry to be back, for so many people to survive. It took, I would say, as less as just 4 months. In July 2020, we started seeing some ships coming back. Few ships, of course, started coming back. So if you see the slide, you can see that there were 29.7 million guests traveled in cruised in 2019. So which is a good year in 2019. Then coming to 2020, there were 5.8 million guests who traveled, and these guests are actually, this is post resumption in July 2020. So obviously, given that time of the year, given at that situation, getting so many people back in a period of 5 months is a good number still. The real resumption took place in 2021, where the cruise industry really bounced back with 46% of the people who traveled in 2019, they were sailing in 2021. So this accounts for nearly 14 million guests traveled in 2021, which is really, really a good number, I would say, given the situation. Then the graph on the left-hand side says how the cruise lines have worked to get the ships on a very phased manner. Systematically, the ships were coming back into service, the ships and the capacity. So this is a 2 years graph which says from July 2020 to July 2022, the ships have been put back into service in a very gradually, in a very phased manner to ensure safety for the crew as well as the guests traveling. So by now we already have 75% of the capacity back up and running. So it will be like closer to 100% soon. By July 2022, we will have closer to 100% of the capacity sailing across the world. So that's a fantastic resumption, I would say. While the cruise lines have been working to get the ships back in the sea, they didn't stop on building their new ships. So all the cruise lines were continuing to build their new ships, and in a 2 years period, there have been more than 30 ships that have been new ships have been built across all the cruise lines. In 2021 alone, I think I'm right, in 2021 alone, there were 15 to 20 new ships that were delivered. And in 2022, we are looking forward for another 15, 16 new ships to be delivered. So what does this mean? This is like bringing around more than 300 cruise ships are going to be sailing in 2022. In capacity, this means like more than 580,000 guests. So you have a whole load of inventory to sell in 2022, which is really a great number actually. More than 300 ships sailing is good for this summer. And coming back to the demand, okay, we have the ships, so do we have the demand? There was a survey done recently, of course, at an international level, and the survey results showed a very positive comeback for cruises. 82% of the cruisers said that they are ready to go back, sail back again, and 62% of the non-cruisers, this is really very interesting, and they said they are interested in cruising. So the demand is there. The people are waiting to be cruising. There's going to be again, it's a study that says that there is going to be a good pent-up demand. There have been loads of passionate cruisers who have missed cruising in the last couple of years. So that's going to be coming back. They are going to be coming back to cruising. So this pent-up demand is really expected. In case we already see it happening in 2022, and it's expected to be more in the next couple of years. So there is a good demand coming in, and there are new ships. And when the cruise lines are coming back, they are coming back with very interesting itineraries. There are a lot of new ports, new interesting ports which have not been tested before. They've been added, and many cruise lines have got the world cruises, and then they have exotic destinations. So you have the destinations, you have the new ships, and you have the pent-up demand. So this is the right time to focus on cruising. Yeah.
Sure. Stepping back a bit, it would not have been possible to resume in such a successful way without putting a very strong focus on health and hygiene, safety, security measures.
Of course.
So if I could ask Michael, could you please let us know what have cruise lines done in the past to make sure that the cruises are right up there when it comes to safety and security? You can be confidently going into a cruise.
Yeah. Well, first of all, good morning to everybody. When we look at the audience we have here, you are, I guess, the future for all of us sitting on this panel here. And what we have to do, and it's interesting, Ashmi mentions about pent-up demand, what we have to do as an industry is ensure that you know when you're selling a cruise that the key things to it are all there. And I think there are three very simple things for you to leave here today. And what I would refer to as sort of the 3 C's. There's communication, there's our crew, and there's care. And I think if you can remember just those simple 3 C's, the first thing is the communication. I think all of the cruise lines have put an incredible amount of additional safety protocols in place. And I think as an industry, yes, it's not just about a face mask. It cannot be just about that. It's the various different levels that we've put in. So currently sitting right now, and I can speak very openly about my particular brand, and don't necessarily quote me for everybody on the panel, it's exactly the same, because there may be a few slight differences between it. But if you look at the slides that we hear, first of all, vaccinated guests, we're saying the majority of cruise lines are saying everybody who's coming on board that ship has to be vaccinated. That's one of the things which has been driven by the CDC, which is the Center of Disease Control in the US. There is a protocol which most of the cruise lines have signed up to. I think as you were mentioning about CLIA, if you're a CLIA cruise line, these are the protocols which we're following. So from your side, if you're not selling cruise, you want to be looking at the CLIA members first of all. That's really important for you in the travel industry. And also all of our crew. So our crew are 100% vaccinated and boosted as well. We're currently running through a whole booster program. So there's the first thing. The second thing that's happening in many of the ports of call we are testing guests before they arrive. So we're asking people to be tested. So first of all, you've got people who are vaccinated. The second thing, 48 hours before people arrive at the cruise terminal, they're being tested. And then what you've then got on board the ship is a very safe environment and trying to be as safe as possible. And I think, as Ashmi has mentioned, there is pent-up demand. I think he said it was 65% of pent-up demand. Those people are going on holiday, whether it's to South America, whether it's to the Caribbean, the Maldives, Mauritius, wherever you want in the world. The thing about the cruise industry, every member of crew on that ship is in a bubble. They're not going at home at night back to different parts of the world into another environment. It's a very safe environment. And as an industry, we have consistently gone above and beyond in the health and safety protocols. So getting people on board the ship is not that issue. For your side as the travel professionals out there, you have to obviously work with it from there. So I've touched on vaccinated crew. Mask guidelines. Well, first of all, I flew in yesterday, and I don't know quite know what I was expecting when I landed, but I've been quite surprised as an Englishman coming into Dubai. There's still a lot of people wearing face masks, even out on the street. So it's for a tour. Well, you call me a tourist. I'm not here on a holiday, by the way. But for somebody who's come into work, I was quite surprised by that. So that doesn't worry me because I see people wearing it. And interesting, we walked into the hotel today, and I'll not say which of the three gentlemen I'm with didn't have his mask on, but this hotel did the most amazing bit of service. They walked up to him with a box of masks and just presented it and said, "Excuse me." Now, he had a choice, but he actually went to go and guess. That's the type of service that the cruise industry delivers as a normal anyway. So we are encouraging, let's say. It's not you have to walk around the ship with a mask. There's a very nice way of doing it. So there's different ways of doing it. So for those sort of anti-maskers, but all we're saying is if you're going from one bar to the other, and that's the best thing about a holiday, let's just go from bar to bar. But sitting around the pool, and let's face it, if you had a sun mask sitting around the pool, you got some wacky tan by the time you leave the ship. So there's a lot of practical things that we look at. They mentioned about the 3 C's, communication, crew, and confidence. The other one there, flexibility, peace of mind. I can't speak for every cruise line, but I think the majority of us sitting on this panel here have what we would refer to as a sort of confidence program, what we call Cruise with Confidence. Should anybody, prior to embarking a cruise, test positive, there's refunds. Very straightforward. You can't cruise, here's your money back. Naturally, as an industry, we would love, let's face it, we've been in a refund business for 2 years as an industry. All we've done is just give money away. You know, now we want to try and get some of this money back. And we would prefer to give vouchers. That's not saying we don't want to give cash, so don't quote me. I'm just trying to help your businesses try and get in. So there's a whole communication program which runs through there as well. So there's that confidence. So please, I think, as an industry, we're doing everything we can, especially for those people who've not cruised before. And you'll be very surprised, looking after the whole of Europe, Middle East and Africa as I do, the pent-up demand is incredible. And what I'd encourage every one of you to do when you get back to your locations or your homes, depending on where you're working, pick up the phone to your 2 or 3 customers and just say to them, "You ever considered a cruise?" And you'll probably find out, they go, "You know what, we've always thought about doing something like that, but," and then you're going to get, "But it's full of COVID." Now, all of the representatives here have got incredible knowledge, incredible passion for this brands that they represent. If you want to work with one of them on this panel here, they'll tell you all about their protocols. They'll tell you all about it. And going forward, nobody should use the word travel agent anymore. The word travel agent should be stopped. The reason why I say that, you now have to become travel professionals, because even more so, having been to Holland, Belgium, Portugal, Israel, and Dubai in the last 5 weeks, holy Moses, the amount of regulations and forms I've had to fill in has been incredible. You have to know so much more, and we are relying upon you, and we will give you the support to enable you as an industry, to give you that support to go in from there. So hopefully with what you see there, share it with your customers, take pictures of it, tweet it, Facebook it, do whatever you can. But as an industry, we on this panel, all of us are doing everything we possibly can to help and support you grow your businesses.
Communication, crew.
Communication, which is basically tell them how good we are. Crew, safe. And
confidence,
and the confidence and that care, sort of care area is what we're down.
3
You'll
Cs.
not get that out of any hotel chain anywhere in the world other than the cruise industry.
Great, so that's a lot about what cruise lines are doing. There would be nothing without a port. So we have Daniel from Spain Tourism. He's the director. So Spain Tourism. And Spain, let me get this right, has about 5,000 kilometers of coastline, including one of the longest Mediterranean coastlines and 60 islands. So he knows cruising. Tell us a bit about how Tour España supports cruising, and especially in these crazy times.
Thank you, Rashi. Well, for me it's a pleasure to be in this panel because as a tourism board, as a destination, we bring to the conversation like a little bit of different perspective. Similar, but with a different focus. So just to tell you about the relationship between cruises and Spain, the cruise industry has been growing for the last decade a lot. It has been exponentially growing. And also, that was the case for Spain. Spain, in 2019, we got 10.6 million visitors that came in cruises. So it's not there, but nearly 1% of the GDP of Spain. So for Spain, as a destination, as a tourism destination, the cruise industry is something that we support and that we try to foster as much as we can because it's an important part of our tourism. So it also provides nearly 50,000 jobs in Spain and around 5,000 million for the Spanish economy. So it's an industry that we really try to support and to help. The Mediterranean part, the Mediterranean facade of Spain is the main one. 70% of the cruises we have are on the Mediterranean side. Being Barcelona the major port, the most important one. But we also have other very interesting or important ports such as Palma de Mallorca or Valencia or Malaga. So we have different ports and the different regional governments and the Spanish government support from the port side in many ways. But going back to 2019, we were great at that time, peak of the evolution that we had on the cruises. Then on 2020, the perspectives were great also, but March came, everything shut down, and 2020 was we can say a lost year there. But 2021 started recuperating, and we have seen very good figures given the circumstances. So we see a trend that is going onwards, and we hope for 2022 to be a really good year to come back to that path that we were driving before. So from the tourism board perspective or from the destination perspective, what we try to support is the cruise industry in different ways. First of all, when someone is is thinking of going on a cruise, they of course look at the cruise, what it offers, what are the services, what are the accommodations, activity inside the cruise. But also they look at the destinations where they touch and they make the decision where to go and see. So on our side, we try to make our destination attractive, to be able to bring people to the Mediterranean coast and, if possible, to start from Barcelona, for example, the cruise. So there are two elements, the destination and the cruise. And on our side, what we try to do is to make it easy for people to come to the initial port to start the journey or even the final destination also. So we have eased the restrictions quite a lot to come to Spain. At this moment, the UAE is in the safe list of Spain. Even Qatar and Saudi Arabia are also in the safe list. So actually, you only need to fill in the form and get a QR code, and that's the only thing you need. You don't need to be vaccinated. You don't need to have a PCR or a certificate. Now, in the safe list, you don't need anything. So that gives people the chance to come with easiness, to the country. Although this list sometimes changes, and previously, if the country is not in the safe list, what we ask is a vaccination or a PCR test. So the conditions to come to Spain are not difficult to achieve, and actually we encourage to people to be vaccinated or to do the testing so that we can have that security, in that safety. Also, from our perspective, we try to encourage the cruises, and we are making, or they are being done in many ports. For example, in Barcelona, they are now doing a new terminal for cruises, and we are always trying to have infrastructure that it's modern, that it can have all the requirements that it's needed now, including the safety. So we are trying to push the destination together with the cruises. And during these tough times, we also helped as a government. There were different packages that supported the cruise industry from the Spanish government, such as paying the salaries of people that were working for companies in Spain related to any tourism company, any company in the tourism sector. So we supported through different aids from the government, subsidies and helps. So bottom line is that we are helping as much as we can, especially sending that message of confidence, of safety, which is the thing that we need to enable for people to get that confidence to travel back. And finally, restrictions are easing in Europe, also in Spain, for example, since last week, masks outside are not mandatory. And also this is affecting the decision-making process of the people, because when restrictions are easy, are less, and you go to a country where you feel safe, then the decision it's easier to take.
Absolutely. And speaking of destinations that support tourism and cruising specifically, we'll be remiss not to mention the UAE. So Karthik, can you tell us a bit about how the UAE is supporting the cruise industry, and what does the future look like?
Okay, now if you see this season, there are around 126 cruise calls and over 500,000
In the UAE?
In the UAE,
Sorry, right.
yes. Over 500,000 cruise tourists are expected for this season. And this is because UAE has become one of the leading cruise destinations. And if I may say, many of the cruise liners have added UAE and this region into their itineraries. Now, this indicates the optimism and the growth in the cruise sector in the region. Absolutely. UAE have 5 cruise terminals with variety of facilities, and just imagine that you drive your car, you park, get into the ship, have a 7 nights cruise, come back, take your car, go back. It has become such easy way to cruise. This wouldn't have happened if they wouldn't have done the infrastructure for the cruise sectors in the UAE. Now, apart from that, they also have made a new exclusive cruise jetty for Sir Banias Island. There are cruise liners, like we had our naming ceremony in the UAE last year. This reaffirms that UAE is one of the leading cruise destination, I would say, regionally and globally for us. And UAE is most important for us, and for as future, we will be deploying one of our latest fleet, and the largest fleet for 2022-23 season. And to increase the capacity, we'll also have a second ship deployed in UAE, so then we welcome more cruise passengers into UAE, and to enjoy the cruising in the region. So it's when I talk about the facilities, I would say Emirates Airlines has an exclusive check-in counter at Port Rashid, where to make passengers convenience, they check in there and they just go to the airport, they fly away. So such kind of infrastructures has been made in the region and in UAE for that, for passengers' convenience. So I would say thank you for UAE for making such facilities and making cruise easy for this region.
Sure. So there's obviously fly cruising, but what you're mentioning is there's also the opportunity of drive cruising. So just drive to the port,
drive, park,
and
sail,
have a
come
cruise
back,
holiday.
go,
Yeah, so great. That's
and,
great.
and the parking is free of charge, no charge.
Oh, good. That matters a lot.
I might struggle with that. It's a bit of a drive from London.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how it is in the region. So cruising in this region is
Right.
It's made easy.
Great. Speaking of, Asif's going to answer the most important question, in my opinion, is how easy is it to book a cruise holiday, Asif, or how difficult?
To actually convey this answer is, in a very short form, is that it's very easy. But no, brace yourself, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to take 3 hours for me to finish this module here. Yeah, I mean, there are a few things that one needs to do because, the last thing that you do is book the cruise, but there are a lot of things that you need to do before for it to become easy for you to book. And they are, well, the know-how is very, very important, so which means we have a treasure trove of knowledge to offer you as cruise liners. And some of us even have modules. In fact, most of us have modules which you could go through, learn. The idea is to recognize the niche, between each one of us, and to sell accordingly. You can't compare pricing, facilities, because the niche plays a very, very big role. So the knowledge is there, and we are here. Any doubts you have, we are always there to take care of them. And so please take the efforts to call us, and we are just a call away. Just call us and we'll be there and we'll be able to help you. And we have lots of information to give you. And that information should not be sitting in the offices. It should go out to your customer databases in the form of electronically, or we even have brochures to give, flyers to give. You can use that, market it much before, so that the issue with this market, which has been the traditional issue that we always suffer from, is last-minute bookings. People come to us at the last minute and say that, I want that specific cabin or this specific cabin. We want port side, I want starboard side. It becomes a bit difficult at the last minute. If you book early, and that's what you need to stress in your marketing campaigns, that getting the people to book early would always pay rich dividends. Because in UAE, it's almost like a summer season. 60% of the people book vacations. And so when it rains, it pours for all of you. So if you push the booking window a little earlier, it'll really, really help you. You won't be stressed. The client won't be stressed. The client will get value for their money. So it's very, very important that we use the marketing ploy to deliver the message, book early. And consultation, we are here to consult with you. We're just a phone call away. We have lots of consultants, lots of material to offer you. Call us, and we are here to help.
So thank you, Asif. Sorry, did I cut you there? Were you?
Yeah, well, booking it is very, very easy, and selling it is also extremely easy. It's basically because, you see, if you compare this cruise vacation to a land vacation, the things that you could tell your customer, you just put your hand once in your pocket to remove the money and pay for the vacation, and you're done. It's all inclusive. So you have accommodation sorted out, you have all your 3 meals sorted out, you have transportation sorted out, you have evening entertainment sorted out, you have your beverages, your pools, your recreation, everything sorted out, and on all that you sell, you're likely to get commissions. So you're not looking at which hotel should I put this person in, what chain is good, and how do I get this person from one end to the other end? What type of transportation should I? Should I use a train? Should I use a bus? You don't have to worry about anything. So to conclude, this is how easy it is. You put your hand in your pocket, tell your client, you remove your money and you pay, everything is sorted out. It's just that easy.
Great. So we just had some questions from the audience which are already here. We'll give a chance. But tell us about cruise developments in Saudi Arabia. Does anyone want to take this up? Cruise development in Saudi Arabia, which cannot be ignored. There's a sizable portfolio there.
Who's the
Whoever wants to speak.
Who wants to take it?
Well, the region has definitely Dubai alone cannot be the cruise hub. Definitely Dubai needs other countries to participate so that they are able to build up an itinerary. Now, when the cruising started in 1996 or 97 in Dubai, it started with Dubai as leading from the front. Ship were going to Muscat, Bahrain, and back to Dubai. And then now today's stage is Saudi Arabia has started developing the Red Sea region for the cruises. They started with a small ship last year, and based on the success, they had a ship during the winter in Jeddah doing the itinerary in the Red Seas. And now I believe other country in the Gulf, namely Qatar, is also equally interested.
Yep.
There's a lot of airlift coming in from Europe to the Middle East, whether be it Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Doha, and which is actually being utilized for the cruise industry. Now, what happens, generally speaking, after summer is over, in Europe, the cruise line, they have to take the ships back to the warmer water, and everybody cannot be accommodated in the Caribbean. So they have been looking at the alternate port, and Dubai fits in very nicely, or for that matter, region fits in very nicely. And I believe next year the cruise ship will have cruises going from Dubai, touching Oman, Qatar, Bahrain, and the eastern province of Saudi Arabia as well. So, a lot of development happening, and definitely it is very encouraging for the people who are outside of the region, but also for people who are in the region and would like to explore the other areas.
Now, this is not a new question, but I would still like to bring up, there was a specific profile of people that used to go cruising and which has changed rapidly over the last 5 years or a decade. So would anyone want to take this up and explain how the demographics have rapidly changed? Michael, I'm looking at you.
We touched on before, the cruise industry has a huge amount of training and resource, and the one thing for every cruise line on this panel here, the one thing which is really important to you, our travel professionals, is it has to be the right customer, the right ship. There's no doubt, I was chatting with Rachel from Travel Council before, and we were talking about, I think, La Ponant, you were mentioning you didn't see them there, and, putting that customer onto, Wonder of the Seas, 5,000 passengers on ship, it's chalk and cheese. It's like putting somebody into the Holiday Inn Express who stays in the Grosvenor House. There's just the comparison is so different in what people are looking for. So there is a cruise ship out there, whether you're in Saudi Arabia, whether you're in Dubai, whether you're in the UK, for everybody. And as the travel professionals, I would say, pick your partners who you want to work with and let them help and support you for there. And I think the opportunity is massive. The industry is building. I think this year alone, there's about another 6 ships still to be launched about in the next 6 to 8 weeks. So the capacity is there, and the industry needs travel professionals to go out and recommend cruising. This is not cruise lines direct, impossible. We need the travel industry more than ever before to get out and recommend. So find out, know your customer, pick 4 or 5 different cruise lines, members of CLEAR, who can help and support you, and you have a nice portfolio of things that you can take from the cruise lines, particularly training to help and support. So please, as a plea from every one of us up here, learn it. We'll help you, we'll train you, we might even give you a cruise as well. So it's,
I will put it, I'll put it a little differently. We will not train you. We will share our experience so that you learn from our experience, are able to translate in your own word to your clients. I think that will be much nicer word of sharing.
So one last, sorry.
But Rashi, from
Karthik.
a little bit more information when you say the demography, recently when I did a social media campaign from the region, this region, I was surprised to see that the graph was like 18 to 24 and 25 to around 40 was the highest number of people who were more interested in checking what is the cruise, where it's going, and knowing more information. And from that, if you take male and female, it's the female audience who are more interested than the male audience So, you know,
I've been with my 6-year-old on a cruise
power.
twice. She's already been on a
Girl
cruise
power,
twice.
that's the future.
Right,
Girl
so
power.
we've just celebrated International Women's Day. I must ask you, Lakshmi, as the only female panelist, what's the progress there between, like, do you feel, is it a struggle as a woman to work in the cruise
Oh,
industry?
not at all, not at all. See, surrounded by men, sitting in the middle, surrounded by men. In case, I would always proudly say that cruise is the industry dominated by females. You know how? The ship is called She. We call the ship She. Anything beautiful is She. So we have these 300 plus She who is dominating the industry. So this is a complete female dominated industry. So,
Wasn't
very
expecting
proud,
that.
yeah. So we have 300 beautiful ladies, more than 300 beautiful ladies sailing across the world. So it is a female industry, and I enjoy doing that. And to be frank, and in case this has been asked to me by many people, I don't see any difference at all. In case I enjoy what I'm doing, so so I don't see being a lady, like any challenge of selling cruises.
Brilliant, that's
In
great.
case rather I would say it's rather easy because the decision makers are mostly, like Karthik was saying, that there are a lot of females who do the holiday decisions
Right.
when they do a family holiday. So it's rather easy on that.
That's good, that's
There's more
great to
to it
hear.
than that. And I think, you look at Captain Kate McHugh will be
Yeah.
the first American
We have-
lady to captain the
Helm
brand new
ship.
Celebrity Beyond in 6 weeks' time. So girl power is definitely
Is
no
there.
issues at all.
And there are many senior officials as well on board.
Yeah.
There are many senior officials who are ladies on board. Yeah.
Great, so any concluding remarks from Asif, Daniel, and Karthik, who haven't got a chance to? Do you want any concluding remarks before we go over to the audience and see if they have any questions for you? Not
I
really.
think we will face it.
Okay, audience. Please, does anyone have any generic questions about cruising, any doubts that, oh great, thank you so much.
It's certainly not a doubt, do I need that? I don't normally need things like this. I was one of the people that returned to cruise in 2021.
Oh, wow.
And it was noticeable when I was looking that there were a lot of shore excursions which could only be done if you were part of an organised group. Are we moving away from that now? Because I do know that is something that people weren't too keen on. They want to be able to go off and explore by themselves.
They are actually.
I think in UAE, it is independent excursions which is happening now, except I think in the region I'm talking about. And Qatar for the moment, I think they are getting prepared for the FIFA, so it is still a bubble tour. So it's I think Daniel in Spain.
Well, it depends on the cruise, no? On the itineraries or packages that they have inside the cruise. So we'll see how it.
Yeah, basically to summarize, I would say now some ports, it mostly depends on the ports that the ship call, rather than it's a ship thing. It's more of the country, how they want it, whether they are allowed the free excursions or they want it to be only through the ship excursions. Things keep changing. So that's why we experts are there. So I would say check on when you are doing the booking, keep checking because everything keeps changing, and so we as more and more people relax, and there could be more and more ports which will be allowing the free excursions. So.
If I can add to what is being discussed, is situation is still evolving. So much so, I don't know if you guys are aware, only day before yesterday, Canada, they said they are going to be ready for the cruise business for 2022.
Yeah.
So the guys, if you have any passengers who are or guests going to Alaska, they are back to business and they're back to normal. Shore excursions, if not today, by tomorrow, day after, within a week or 10 days, it's gonna be life back to normal. And just wait for the news, and then even if it is not, the difference between going on a shore excursion organized by the cruise line versus doing independently, cost-wise not much of the difference, but if you go on a shore excursion organized by the cruise line, In case of any cancellation, you get immediate refund. Plus, you have the peace of mind that before the ship leaves, the shore excursion company is going to bring you back in time before the ship departs. So the peace of mind is there.
Michael, did you have something to add, or? Yeah,
We're
we covered
thinking
it
the
all.
same. We think the cruise lines, I'll
You
be
took
honest,
your
the cruise
lines.
lines do not want bubble shore excursion. Fact. We don't want it because what's the cruise about? Freedom, flexibility, do your own thing. But all of us in the travel industry, can you imagine trying to work out a policy which a cruise goes to Spain, France, Italy, and Greece and pops into Turkey, and every government? Our busiest departments of all of our cruise industry at the moment are our media relations and government relations. We need the destination. That's why I'm so pleased the Spanish Tourist Board have sponsored today, because it's without them we can't sail. So thank you, Spain, for the, being that endorsement, because we do need the industry to. This is a whole collaboration.
The main business activity for the cruise line is the cruising and the ancillary services on board the ship. Shore excursion is just to help the guest have a little bit extra good time on, and definitely they would like to organize under circumstances a bubble. But if bubble has burst, people are happy to go on their own. It's perfectly fine.
Does that answer your question? Do you have a follow-up? Does anyone have any questions? Oh, great, yeah. Even, I'm like, you're me in the audience.
Sorry.
I'm you.
This one's very specific to Michael, just because you just mentioned Captain Kate. Does she really keep bug naked on that ship with her?
Yes, she does. And if anybody, if anybody,
It's an
yes,
amazing cat.
She has her own cat which follows Kate McHugh around, and I think the cat has as many Instagram followers as she does, if not more. So if you want a proof point of girl power, follow Kate, Captain McHugh on Instagram, and she's a character. She's a social media icon in our business. Yeah.
Talked about vaccination. Are you going to request the? It's working now. Request the booster, or is it only going to be the 2? Or will that depend on the country that you're going into
As
ports?
of now, it's only 2. The boosters have not been made compulsory, but if you have boosters, well and good. Again, things are changing, so it could change as the vaccine.
We all have to sort of answer that question at 20 to 12 on today. The answer is double jabbed. We're boosting our crew. I think the majority of panels, and everybody's nodding, are boosting crew, but there's no requirement for guests to be boosted yet. So come for this afternoon session.
And it might change. Could be different, it could be different.
It might have changed.
I know.
So actually, that's just one thing, and I know just as a travel agent thing had complained. A travel agent actually called me.
Travel professional.
Thank you.
Travel professional.
Thank you very much.
His words.
A travel professional called me 6 months after all of this fun and games started and said to me, had a real go, and said, you should produce a guidebook of all of the cruise line protocols. Well, goodness me, if we'd produced a guidebook, I think we're in edition 19 now. So all of the cruise lines here for you. If you didn't know where to find the protocols, whether it's for Royal Caribbean, Celebrity, Holland America, Seabourn, whoever it is, they're all online on the .com websites. They're all there. So that's the best place to get the most accurate information, and where we, as an industry, change it when it needs to.
Any other questions?
If I can add to what Kim had asked, travel professionals, cruise line is, or cruise lines are the only segment in travel and entertainment business which are required by law to monitor, collect and report all cases of medical conditions including COVID to the local government authorities. So you have peace of mind that it's only the cruises is the most safest place to be when you're looking for the holidays.
I'm just going to ask, oh, sorry.
None of the other segments, be it the hotel or the airline or the resorts, are required by law. And that's why when situation came, the CDC, unfortunately, I mean, started showing their colors, and they were flexing their muscles to know this should be there and this shouldn't be there, plus the local government regulations. All in all, there are about 11 or 12 different governmental organizations where the cruise lines have to report their daily activities.
Thank you.
So this is me just stating out certain factors before the question. When we talk about pet policies, I mean, having pets being part of a family, they're also commercially becoming a very, very big segment, because they're noticing where parents and family are including their pets, are getting included into many areas now openly, are adding to more business. I just wanted to hear if any cruise liners are taking that as a priority in their agendas.
If I could wolf whistle, I would. Sorry, so yes, please go ahead. Who has the answers?
Do anyone do? No.
I can speak only from my brand on this subject. Right now, our policy is for, what's the right word I want to use? Not pets, but if it was guide dogs, there is a very small opportunity to do something there. But like anything else, if there is demand there for it, who knows what's going to happen in the future. But right now, it's not something that Celebrity Cruises has a policy on bringing pets on board.
The only cruise line which accepts on board the ship is Cunard, and that is only mainly on the transatlantic voyages going from Southampton to New York and then back. The other routings in Northern Europe, I'm not sure whether they have the facility. And they have facilities for your four-legged furry friends on the pool deck as well, where they can go for a walk in the morning and evening, and including little lampposts as well.
But there's probably an opportunity there for a travel business to do both.
Yep.
For the travel agent to take professional,
Yeah.
to take over that responsibility and have a partnership with a caring place where you can go out and say, we will take care of your pets when you go on holiday. So turn it around to an advantage to yourselves.
Great. So this is all the time we have, except for one little question. Sorry, yes, my question, which is, I've traditionally seen that the Mediterranean cruises are the ones that sell the most in the Middle East. And as an editor, I get to read about so many amazing things like expedition cruising, the Galapagos. There's so much you can do. A bit about where, for beginners, if there are beginners in this room, I'm not really aware, what would be a good itinerary to, where would we start? Would we start with the Mediterranean, go to the Arctic, Galapagos? What would be, because you don't want to sell the same thing and you don't want to be in a little box. So what would be the right way to approach this?
Yeah, I can take this, yeah. Actually, Mediterranean is good to start with. As you mentioned, it's a very, very popular itinerary. I would say choosing a destination is very much a personal interest. So if you are a beach lover, Mediterranean is not your destination. So if you are a beach lover, choose the Caribbean. If you love the scenic beauty, the cold weather, Norway cruise. And if you like history, you want to see places, Mediterranean is very beautiful. So each destination has got its own charm and its own merit. So what we advise normally is first you decide what is your interest, where you want to cruise. Then choose a cruise depending on the destination based on your interest. And generally people start with Mediterranean because that's a close proximity and the first one to try with. And there are plenty of beautiful ships deployed in Mediterranean, being a very popular destination. But the experienced cruisers normally go for these exotic destinations. There are cruises, plenty of cruises. There are plenty of cruises across the world. You have cruises, apart from the standard Caribbean, Alaska, Northern Europe and Mediterranean, you have the Antarctica cruises, Arctic cruises, as you were mentioning, the Galapagos. And as I was mentioning in my presentation, there are world cruises. All the cruise lines are coming up with world cruises. These world cruises are of course long. It's 3 months 3 months at sea. But you are visiting destinations which are completely unique and very, very different from the normal cruises. So I'm sure you all have a lot of repeat guests, and cruise business is all about repeat guests. In case we used to say that you put a guest once, then that's a business for you forever. Not only that particular person or family, they bring groups, and then your business only grows with repeat business of people bringing more and more people. So first time they do Mediterranean, second time they do Northern Cruise or Caribbean or Alaska, then they obviously start looking for these unique destinations. There are wonderful destinations. Hawaii cruises are there, Galapagos is there, and whatnot, Antarctica
River
is there,
cruises.
and yeah. The Far East cruises are there, yes, and the Dubai, and yeah. So there are plenty of options out there. So when your guest has already done the Mediterranean, please they don't have to look for the new dates, but you have plenty to offer. You can just check across all the cruise lines for different itineraries.
World cruises are generally speaking anywhere 110 days and onwards, and may sound scary. My client doesn't have that much time, or we cannot afford to stay away for 3 months from the normal place of residence. You still can take the world cruise, not necessarily for the full 110 days, but you can take a segment of that, could be anywhere between 15 days to 22 days, and still claim that you've been on a world cruise.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for being part of the region's first ever Cruise Awareness Day.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. The panel discussion is now over, formally, just letting you know. Please approach the individual sales counters here for any brand-related, product-related questions that you may have, and please have some questions, just to let you know. We have representatives from Royal Caribbean, Celebrity Cruises, just don't want to miss any of them, sorry. Silver Sea, Azamara, Holland America Line, Seabourn, MSC Cruises, Disney Cruise Line, Princess Cruises, Cunard, P&O Cruises, and NCL. So please, and thank you so much, and it's been lovely. Thank you. Sorry? Did I miss some? I think I missed someone. And Spain, the destination. Thank you, and look forward to catching up with every one of you.